And welcome to yet another edition of The Big Picture, where we look at things which are happening around us at this very moment, and maybe we don't even realize they are. First of all, I've got to say to you, Arkin, I can't believe what you were saying to me a couple of weeks ago, not on the broadcast here, but when we were broadcasting live, about people staying on Earth and looking at inside the planet rather than going to Mars. Yeah, you recall that? You remember that?
Of course.
Of course.
I have a tendency to mean things I say.
So when you said you hated me, you meant
exactly, of course. You know, what good is it if you can't talk to someone in the face and say what you feel?
Well, fair comment. I can't argue with that, can I? Humans. This is actually...
We have another human being here.
We do. I'm going to introduce our other human in just a second, but first of all, other human. In the press today, the headline is, humans could live in lava tunnels underneath the moon's surface. Burak, isn't it?
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correct?
Yes, Burak.
Burak. Okay, Burak.
10 years in Turkey and still can't pronounce Burak. Wow.
Well, at least I had an idea of how it should sound. See, I'm getting better.
It's okay for me.
It goes on to say, scientists believe there is a huge network of tunnels that exist under the lunar surface. The volcanic structures known as lava tubes have been proposed in the past as sites for human colonies on the moon. A study claims that the tubes are around about 1 kilometer in diameter, and they could be stable enough to house permanent bases for us under the surface.
We are human beings, and human beings run on energy. And that energy does not necessarily come from the food or drinks we ingest. Right. It comes directly from the sun itself. Vitamin D.
Well, we're going to hide from the sun if we do that, aren't we? We're going to be like too low,
If you're proposing something like lava tunnels to live under the surface of the moon, why not try to live here under the surface of Earth, which is a little closer?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, and we've talked about this before, if most of us go from this Earth, and we stay away for long enough, then surely the whole thing's going to regenerate itself, and all the bad things that we've done to this Earth are going to kind of replenish again.
Well, who's polluting the Earth?
We are.
Yeah.
We are. Yes, exactly that. Who are we that is polluting the Earth? That we is the corporations, right?
Yes.
For monetary purposes, we cut down trees, we pollute, corrupt whatever we do to the planet. And the ones who are about to leave the planet to a mission to a planet called Mars or to our satellite, they have to be funded. And these people will be the same people that corrupt the planet or leave a mess of the planet. Well, if they leave, there will be no one left to do all that hideous things that have been going on.
If we go to Mars, if we go to the moon or the Mars or wherever we go to, surely we're going to just do the same thing that we've done here, yeah?
Definitely. Don't you think that it has to be like this? Don't you think like this? It is shaped like that.
Why? Why does it have to be like this? Yep. Because we decide we want it to be like this.
Yes, we designed it like this before 20 or 30 years ago, or 50 years ago, or 100 years ago. We designed it like this.
This is an agenda to...
It happened like this.
Make people think it's normal that we should leave this planet. Of course, that's the next natural step.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the animal species are...
They're not
planning
included in this, are they? The animal species are not included in this.
They're not planning to leave the Earth.
No, of course.
They'll be left behind to clean up after us.
I saw an amazing National Geographic film about life after humans. The second life just disappeared from Earth to 2,000 or 3,000 years after, and the only living things on the planet were animals. Humans
and bacteria.
Gone. Obviously, the bacteria and the animals. No humans at all. And within 2,500 years or so,
almost as much time as our calendar says.
Yeah. Within 2,500 years or 3,000 years, the Earth was back to its natural form.
Yeah, it all cleaned,
and no trace of buildings. It was just green and lovely.
Actually, I watched this, the documentary.
You've seen it too?
Yeah, I've seen it too, but then comes up a new theory in my mind. Don't you think like this, after we go to Mars or Moon, wherever we go...
After you go, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, after I go,
It's going to be Dr. Dolittle with the animals.
And after 300 or 400 years, don't you think that the human beings will go back to Earth? They say like this.
This was a beautiful place. Let's come back here.
We had it already. Don't you think that we should go back there and decorrupt it again? And
well, exactly. I mean, we were. I was talking about that to you earlier, wasn't I? And yeah, sure. I mean, wherever we go, we're going to do the same damage, and if we come back here, we're going to do the damage again.
It's the anticipation of Christmas.
Yes.
What excites you is the anticipation, because when it's Christmas, it's just nothing different. It's what you call Christmas. It's the anticipation of going out of this planet.
Do you know what?
We are out of it.
You will understand, and I'm sure people who are listening will understand too. When you first meet a girl, and you're planning your first date, and it's really exciting. For the first few months, everything's great, and then you kind of get used to it.
That's why they call it the honeymoon.
The honeymoon period, yeah. So
you should really watch the episode where honeymoon is explained by Chiron Last. Love is infinite potential. This is this is a quote by me, for me, that I repeat all the time. Love is infinite potential. Why? Because there are infinite possibilities at the beginning, or once it's not named, then it starts being something. Then terminology comes in. It starts...
Or is that logic comes in?
Yeah, that's where logic comes in, and your hormones decline.
Yeah.
Then it becomes something that you didn't expect, or exactly what you expected. That's when it becomes boring. That's why leaving the planet has infinite potential.
Okay.
You only think about what's good.
Let me put this to you. There's a question here. There are claims of they've said they've found some kinds of bacterial life on Mars. Is that the reason? The reason they say they found life on another planet, or they found things which can't be explained? Is it the fact that the beings at the time have lived there, done the damage, and then evolved and moved on, like we're doing with this Earth?
We're looking at a scene and trying to expect it to be exactly what we plan to see.
We perceive it as being like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because the examples in front of us that we lived before, because of those examples, we always think like that. It happened like this to the moon or at the Mars.
Yeah,
you got me?
Perception has a formation. That's why we expect things to be in a certain way.
Yeah.
Two examples of this, the same example. We're looking at Mars and don't see anything that resembles life-bearing or that had life there. Try watching a 3D movie without the glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
You won't see anything.
Yeah.
Try sensing radiation without senses. You won't see it, but it will kill you. Try putting on night goggles and walking in the sun. You won't see anything.
You won't see, yeah.
And exactly the opposite. Try walking in total pitch dark without anything to show you the way, or sonar. You have to have different instruments or different perceptions of the wavelength.
Maybe we're not supposed to. Maybe we're supposed to perish with this planet.
That's the best insight I've heard from you for as long as...
Thank you. Now, I know he said earlier that when he says things, he means them, so thank you. I feel...
This is the best insight. I didn't have it. You gave it to me right now, and I buy it, man.
Yeah.
It's sold. Maybe we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Before the Industrial Revolution that took place in England, where you come from.
Yeah.
You are one of the main reasons for this planet to be.
I am
personally.
I am not arguing about that question. Yeah.
And before that time, was there no prosperity? There was.
Absolutely.
Was there no enlightened people?
Life was harder. People were dying at an earlier age, obviously, because life was more difficult. Working conditions were more difficult.
Because it was right after the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. Before that, people the world had an enlightened era, Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
They had longer lifespans because they didn't pollute the planet that much. Everything went on in a decline because people went after money, which didn't mean anything. Only after the last tree has been cut down, people will realize that you can't breed or eat money. That's a proverb from the American Indians. Technology is a solution to a problem that has been created by lack of understanding. Let's establish this first.
So it's a cosmetic.
Exactly. Why is there a perfume industry? Because it smelled like shit in France and they had to cover it up. Why do we have medicine as in today's medicine? Because we're trying to cure stuff.
Cure everything.
Why do we have a cancer treatment industry? Yeah. The cure is once. You cure it, it goes. Treatment is for a long time. It's a prolonged period of death.
That's right, because there is, I've read there is a cure for cancer, but
there are many cures for cancer. It
would not be released because it's gonna lose the medical industry or whoever billions of pounds.
Did you listen to the CEO of Nestle say that clean water should not be a human right?
Yes, absolutely, I did. Yeah.
Exactly that. If they can't put a patent on something that does everything,
we shouldn't be allowed to be able to use it.
Exactly.
Because we're not paying for it. Making somebody...
If nature comes up with a solution and you can't charge anyone for it, what are you going to do? You just ban it. What happened with marijuana? Exactly that. Not smoking, of course not. I'm not talking about THC.
No.
I'm talking about medical use of marijuana, which is not smoking it again, which is hemp oil. Yeah. You can produce fuel out of hemp.
Yes.
You can produce cotton, not cotton of course, but you can produce fabric out of hemp. You can produce a lot of other stuff that is easier to produce and much more cheaper than cutting down forests.
Marijuana then, if you legalize the hemp, that's got a hand in virtually everything that's made, processed,
of course,
in this world.
That marijuana is not smokable. Yeah. Because it has less THC than the smokable version of it, and it doesn't give you the euphoria, but it gives you a lot better fuel for your car, a lot better fuel for the planet, or better clothing.
Cheaper also.
So, okay, so we talked about NASA, and we've talked about the moon, and can I just, Burak, can I just ask you, I know what the answer is going to be. Do you know much about the moon landing of 1969?
Yeah, of course I know.
You know much about it, or you just heard about it?
Actually, Arkan is right. I just heard about it. Okay. I wasn't there.
I was kind of...
No, I wasn't there either, but did you make any research on it? That's what I was asking.
No. I didn't make any research.
Just what you've read and what you've seen.
I read it. The America landed to the moon and the people surprised. And
okay. So, I just wanted to have a look into the reasons maybe why man landed on the moon.
Landed is in quotation marks,
absolutely.
Right?
If you cannot see that, then we'll put that on the screen. That's no problem.
We have to put a picture of you doing that.
This is from the historytoday.com. It says the Soviet Union launch of the Sputnik on October the 4th, 1957, plunged the American people into black despair. In one dramatic stroke, the Russians had undermined the credibility of the United States as a modern dynamic nation. Worst still, it seemed that if the Russians could put a satellite into orbit, they could surely fire intercontinental ballistic missiles at American cities with deadly accuracy, a point made repeatedly by Senator Lyndon Johnson at the Democratic frontrunner for the presidency at the time. Senator John Kennedy was quoted as saying, "They can control the earth as in past centuries the nation controlled the seas, or the nation that controlled the seas dominated the continents. We cannot run second in this vital race. To ensure peace and freedom, we must be first." And can I just add here, by the November of 1963, Kennedy had made the great pledge that man would land on the moon by the end of the decade.
And that landing was directed by Stanley Kubrick.
Which I've heard on many, many occasions, yeah. What do you think about that?
Think about this scenario first. You guys are CEOs of two companies, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You are rivals. You are putting out the same product, and you have workers. Yep. You want your workers to work harder for less money. What do? You say that you are going to lose your jobs because our competitor is doing a better job of producing the same product. You don't want to lose your job. Mm-hmm. They are threatening to kill you. Your livelihood, your family is at risk. What do? You do everything that is necessary. You either kill the other guys, the other workers, or you work your ass off to produce better product for less money. This is fear-mongering. Russia and states did all this to their citizens so that they could get more money out of their out of the tax system or to rule the planet. What are you going to do with this planet?
Well, the negativity, as far as America was concerned, was not only the Cold War between Russia and America. It was also a thing called the Vietnam War, which actually began. I don't know if you know this, Barack. It began in 1954, and 15 years on, it was still going on.
It milked the livelihood of every household in America.
Absolutely did.
Definitely.
Anti-war protests continued to build as the conflict wore on. In 1968 and 1969, there were hundreds of anti-war marches and gatherings throughout the country. Now, obviously, the Americans, they had to start making people smile again.
When did the war end?
The war ended. The actual, I think it was Nixon who actually pulled them out in 1975.
How did Nixon leave?
It was the Watergate scandal.
What did Kennedy say about landing men on the moon? He said they would. It happened.
He said we will. It will happen.
And it's talked about as being a hoax now. How did Kennedy leave?
Well, he was
with a bullet.
Shot. Yeah.
I rest my case.
So you're saying that
go on,
if you
say it.
If you talk too much, it will something.
No, he's saying it was all a hoax. We didn't go there. We didn't do it. Which I'm
because
say,
at 69,
I totally agree.
There had to be a distraction. If you want to distract your opponent, you look down and kick up.
Yeah, attack is the best form of defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a fight,
absolutely.
you look down so that they think you're going to attack low. But you kick high, they don't expect it, and the punch that you don't expect knocks you out, which is a distraction. And misinformation and distraction is what the media is for.